Coming to you live on tape from the beautiful Campbell Bell Building on the Square in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's time for Northwest Arkansas Business Radio. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adam Robison, and you have landed on another edition of Northwest Arkansas Business Radio, the place where excellent people of Northwest Arkansas come to hear about excellent things. And guys, today we have a wonderful guest in studio by the name of Cesar Garcia. Cesar is with American National Insurance, and if you know him, you know that once you've met Cesar, you're never quite the same. But before we get into our conversation with Cesar, we've been chilling and kind of visiting for about 45 minutes before we press record. So I'm excited about what you're going to hear in the next few minutes. Man, I just want to give a shout out to our friends over at Legal Shield. Listen, folks, if you are looking to have a lawyer on retainer, there is not a more cost-effective way to do that. For all of my small business owners and professionals out there that are listening, we know that sometimes getting things like a lawyer and other business services can just be a little expensive, and so we'll have to go without sometimes. With Legal Shield, for just $29.99 a month, you can have access to an attorney that is going to be by your side whenever you need to have a letter drafted, whenever you need to have some sort of agreement put together, or whatever else your business may use an attorney for. That's what's happening when you partner with Legal Shield, and we've got your connection right here at Northwest Arkansas Business RadioX. So if you want to go ahead and shoot me an email, adam@nwabrx.com, adam@nwabrx.com, and one more time for good measure, that's adam@nwabrx.com. We will connect you with our good friends over at Legal Shield, and we'll make sure that you have the protection that you need. So let's go ahead and jump into our episode today. Cesar, welcome to Northwest Arkansas Business Radio, and welcome to a podcast on the big comfy couch, man. How you doing today?
Good.
Great. Good. How's the couch treating you over there?
Dude, like, this couch reminds me of another couch I used to sit on.
Oh, yeah?
And, like, my cheeks are just remembering. Like, my cheeks are reminiscing.
You got some cheek memory going on over there?
Yeah, like, my butt's remembering.
Dude, I love that. I'm glad that you're having a reminiscent experience, even though you've never been on that particular couch before. That's an awesome thing. Cesar, so you've been in the insurance business for a little while. Just in case there's one person in the Northwest Arkansas corridor that doesn't know who Cesar Garcia is, go ahead and give us that elevator speech about who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into our topic for today.
Oh, my elevator speech sucks. So if you're looking to benefit from someone's death, give me a call for life insurance.
So there's that.
And also, if you're starting a business, we do like to work closely with business owners. Honestly, for auto and home, just find an agent you like. Everyone's the same now. Prices are no longer an issue because everyone's high. Just find an agent that you really connect with and who will answer your questions and make you feel comfortable and knowledgeable as you leave the office with your coverages, because, like I said, the price is no longer on the table. Everyone's too high.
Yeah. The insurance industry has just been changing right before our eyes these last few months. And so I know that you're one of a few agents that we've had in here from American National, and they've been telling us about this change in the industry and whatnot. And so just appreciate you being here today. Thanks for being so generous with your time. I know that one of the reason why you're here today is we ended up on the phone the other day. First time we ever spoke to each other, and we actually we started talking about how people need to be and act like their genuine selves, but there seems to be a fear of doing that. And so you have a very unique approach to, communication, relationships. You kind of you give people that bitter pill of truth when you're talking to them, and I'm curious, how does that work for you?
So I'm not a pill. I'm more of a suppository. I don't know. It works well. Some people like it. A lot of people don't. But the people that don't like it more than likely don't like to hear the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how.
Okay. So, so you had said in our conversation, one of the things that kind of tipped the conversation off was you said, people just, they aren't their true authentic selves. They just sort of yes ma'am, no sir, or they play the game and they don't really let or flex their identity, right?
Yeah.
So, where are you seeing this? Like, go ahead and just share the observations that we were having as we had this conversation.
So a lot of the times I see people who are, the one thing that we know is business. I feel like there's a lot of business owners who aren't being genuine about the difficulty when it comes to being a business owner. Mm-hmm. Everyone acts like they're making it, and that's not true. I think a lot of people are hurting, but they don't want other people to know that they're hurting. So I think that's where keeping up with the Joneses comes in, where they're just saying, oh, work is going great, but is it though? And then instead of saying, actually it's kind of slow, you never know who you might miss a connection with. Right. Like I have a friend who's a mortgage lender, and he's told me he's starting to do podcasts, and he's starting to do videos. And I'm like, dude, I was like, everyone does videos. I don't stop to watch someone's video. Mm-hmm. Why would anyone stop to watch yours? So like with that, I told him, I was like, you should talk to hairdressers. And he's like, why? All they do is for 12 hours a day, cut hair and talk to people. Yeah. And if they say, oh, I'm thinking about buying a house eventually, then you have a potential connection there that you would have never thought about. And you're going to be ahead of someone that isn't talking to someone like that. So without talking to other people, you might never know what you're missing out on. And the biggest discoveries, even in the medical field and every other field, have been made from people outside that actual field.
That's interesting. Wow. Yeah. And that's really, I think, where you and I kind of started talking and thought, hey, there might be a podcast episode in this, because people don't share how they're really feeling, right? Like, especially when it comes to business owners. I network every week at two particular sites. One of them is a group that costs a little bit of money to be a part of, and then the other one's a free group. And at both groups, regardless of how much money or the not money being paid into the group, you have people who are struggling with their own persona in the room, because it's very rare that someone gives us an authentic, true image of themselves, right? Yeah. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to press record on this conversation was, you give people the truth, even if it hurts a little bit, because you realize there's consequences on the other end of shortening that truth down, right? Yes. I don't want to misrepresent your ideas.
That's pretty accurate. And it's not that you're doing the truth to hurt the feelings. You just, no one, probably they haven't heard the truth in a while. And if someone's doing the same thing over and over, and you notice that it's like not working out, what's so bad about saying, hey, like, try it this way instead? That might be better for you. And if they decide to take that criticism or critique and do something with it, then that means they were wanting some help. But if they decide to keep doing it until they fail, they obviously didn't want to hear the truth from someone else. And it's just, I don't know. Certain people will accept it, certain people won't.
Yeah. Well, and I know for me, I confessed to you before we went on the air that I struggle with imposter syndrome, right? I really begin to seriously wonder, like, when's somebody going to come and take these podcast keys away from me, because there's got to be 85 people that can do it better than me, right? But then I look outside the door and realize I'm the only one that's here, so I better just give it the very best that I've got. Yeah. Do you ever struggle with wondering if what you give is good enough, or is that not an area of concern for you?
I think that's all the time. And I think if you don't question whether or not what you're giving is all that you're giving, then you're not being true to yourself. Because if you can do better, why don't you? Mm-hmm. And if instead of like half-assing something, full-ass it, put both cheeks into it. Yeah. Because
gear down the ass, man. Get your ass in it, right?
Exactly. And then I have recently also figured out what imposter syndrome was, and And it is weird when you finally realize, but it's you do have to really just bear down and do what you need to do, and do it, if not for yourself, do it for the people that depend on you.
Yeah, you were sharing that with me before we went on the air. Explain what you're talking about there.
Yeah. So I'm not I'm single. I'm kidding. I'm not single. So I have a girlfriend, and then I work hard because I think, not that I deserve to drive in a Lamborghini in the future. I don't have one now, but she deserves to ride in one. Mm-hmm. I don't deserve to own one, but she deserves to ride in one. Mm-hmm. I don't deserve a massive house, but she does. You know, she deserves everything that she will hopefully have coming to her.
Yeah.
And the imposter syndrome kind of kept me thinking, like, who am I to have a nice car? Who am I to have a nice house? Who am I to have anything like this? And then I realized it's not about me. It's about the people around me. And even if it's a nice house, maybe my mom deserves to like retire and be able to live with us in a nice house. So it's definitely something where I project what I want onto other people, because I know people would want that.
Right.
And I'll work hard to get them that.
See, and that's so good. I remember I told you I've never been a salesperson before Business RadioX. I've never done sales. I've actively avoided sales jobs, even though I know salesmen make pretty decent money, right? In a given market. And so with imposter syndrome, I've never felt comfortable in a sales position. I feel comfortable working here at Business RadioX because I truly believe it's the best marketing dollar people can spend. And I know that I believe that because I can sell this stuff without having to feel like my integrity's on the line, or I'm having to convince people to do something they really don't want to do. But as I was listening a few months ago to another podcast on imposter syndrome, the gentleman that was on the podcast had said, "So you feel like you don't measure up?" And then he asked this question. He said, "To who? Who are the members of the shitty committee in your head that you don't measure up to?" And I still don't have an answer to that question. And so when I'm fighting imposter syndrome, I'm going, wow, okay, there's really nobody that I don't measure up to. What I'm saying is I don't measure up to myself, and that's just kind of silly. And so it's very interesting when I look at imposter syndrome. That's what I use to feel better about it. But I think you have another possibility here with the whole, like, hey, if you don't love yourself enough to make decisions to give yourself the best, love the people that are in your life enough to give them what's the very best. I really like that.
Yeah, because I mean, almost every business owner will know, like, if you are in business, that means you guys decided to take a financial leap, and your significant other is probably picking up a lot of the slack. So if their commitment to allow you to pursue a career in, like, as an entrepreneur isn't enough to show you that they love you, like, what is? Because this, there have been some ramen noodle lunches. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, like, no doubt. No, me and my wife have had some ramen noodle lunches too.
But no one's going to admit to that. Everyone's going to be talking about Chipotle, and here I am representing Taco Bell dollar burritos. Because no one fails. No one on social media is failing.
Right.
I would like, even TV shows, you see hot people finding love, but you know what? Like, show me someone who's like 400 pounds who can't find a wife, and then just like Bachelor, but extra large edition. Yeah. Like, I would watch that.
Yeah.
But it's like, but no one wants to see the failures.
Right.
They just want to see the good-looking people doing good.
Yeah.
Because that makes them feel happy.
Well, and it's sad because when you look at networks like TLC and other places where they do have, like, my 600-pound sister or my 800-pound life or something like that, it's not really to shine a light. In my opinion, it doesn't feel like they're shining a light on a disease. It's like they're throwing lights on the circus and sort of exploiting it and making money off of it. And I'm just like, boy, I don't see where this is helping anybody.
Well, it boosts your ego. Like, every time I watch that show, I'm like, oh my God, I don't need to lose weight. I'm not that big yet.
Right. You start feeling real good about yourself, don't you?
So you're not a failure anymore.
Oh, okay.
So that's why people watch dumpster fires. People will go out when they hear a like tire screech because they want to see something bad, because they want to they want to see someone else's life be worse than theirs. And that is what is wrong with people, because they're not trying. They don't want to admit that their life is a dumpster fire. They want to see the bigger dumpster fire and then compare the lack of dumpster fire on their side.
Well, that's true. You know, I was a high school principal from 2007 to 2011, and that was right as iPhone was getting its big start. And so, you know, it really hadn't been that long, the invasion of phones in our pockets. But I remember just as I was resigning the principalship, that was when kids were just starting to pull out their phones during fights. And instead of, you know, like breaking up student fights, they'd pull out their phone so that they could catch the video of it. And I guess, I don't know if it was going to YouTube in 2007 or somewhere else. I don't know.
Star.
Right. Yeah. My what's that? MySpace. Yeah. Yeah. Something like that. Who knows where it was going in 2007, but instead of breaking up a fight, they're holding up the camera. And I'm just like, dude, that tells something about who we are. We want to glamorize people's struggles and failures, but we don't really give them a place to take those struggles and failures, because when they take them to the public marketplace of ideas, nobody's talking about the fact that when they get to work 8:30 on a Tuesday morning or whatever time they have to be at work, they barely made it today because they were arguing with their spouse, or their kid was giving them hell and wouldn't get out of bed. Like, we don't talk about the tough stuff. And so I think we're not really helping each other get better, is what it feels like. I don't know. What do you think?
No, it's true. Because maybe someone has gone through what you're going through, and then they can relate and provide guidance. Like, they're saying that we're losing a ton of information with the older generation dying, but it's because they have a lot of knowledge, and every generation, every person, actually, not just generational, every person has an experience that you've not gone through, and you might need that person's wisdom right then and there. Mm-hmm. Maybe your daughter's been like, getting like, what is it when they leave the house at the middle of the night?
Oh, it's like empty nest.
No, what is it? It's like they're
agoraphobia?
No, they leave the house. They're just like leaving the house in the middle of the night when they shouldn't leave the house. What's that called?
Sneaking out?
Sneaking out.
Oh, I was trying to be all clinical for you. Okay.
No, that's how uncool I was. I never snuck out.
Yeah, I mean,
but like, what if someone had a situation where like, hey, like my daughter was sneaking out, and this is how I had to handle it. And because you never know, like this guy might be just yelling at her, telling her that she's going to get kidnapped. And this other guy's like, hey, like I just had to talk to my daughter because she got, stopped by the cops and this and this happened. Then it's like, hey, get them together. It's like, hey, why did you sneak out? Well, this and this. And why did you stop? Because of this. But people don't communicate. They don't communicate. Because they don't want you to know that they're having a rambunctious child, or, even,
because somehow that's failing, right?
That's failing. And like, even like moms with like a kid, I know moms are stressed out. I've been around a kid, and like 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh, like my ovaries are getting tied. But you see, they struggle all the time, and then all they post on like social media is like, guys, like I have an angel, but it's like, but no one tells them like, hey, you're doing a good job. Even if you're struggling, like you're doing a good job as a mom. Mm-hmm. But no one's going to tell them that, because they're not going to see the struggle to like let them justify like, hey, you yelled at your kid, but that's fine. You're stressed out. You can be stressed out.
Well, and the funny thing is when you do finally meet somebody who is authentically themselves, and they aren't worried about how you're going to react to what they say, because they're okay whether you like them or not. Like, when you do finally get to meet those people, it's really refreshing when you get a dose of authenticity, a dose of realness, because we all have the ability to sniff out BS from the genuine article. But we all seem to think that we're better at BSing than others, and so we still try to push off the same lie. So We're running out of time for this podcast. Tell me, what do you think? How can someone represent their real, true, authentic self? And if they don't have the courage, what do you think are some action steps that might help them find it?
I think lowering or lessening your friend circle would allow you to open up to more people.
Okay, now I'd love for you to go into more explanation about this, because off the air you had said that you intentionally keep your friend circle pretty small. So what do you mean by that?
Just okay. So a friend is overused now. Friend is obviously overused. Well, if there are people who can you call at 2 a.m. because you're stuck on the side of the road?
Right.
You know, I have 2,300 friends on Facebook. I can probably call 3 or 4 of them to come pick me up off the side of the road. Mm-hmm. So those aren't friends. But if you allow yourself to be vulnerable just a little bit, so you don't have to be vulnerable 24/7. You just have to be vulnerable for 5 minutes with that one person. Make That's it like 10 total people. You don't have to be, I don't need you to be vulnerable the whole time. But find some people that you know are pretty ride or die, and let them know, like, hey, you know what? This is what I've been going through. This is what's on my mind. This is an insecurity that I have. This is what I've noticed about myself. And if they're a good friend, one, they might not justify what you said, or they might, but then they'll tell you, like, oh, I've noticed this too. Do you need me to help you out with anything? And it becomes a lot easier when you have a support group, like a network of friends that, if you are having a hard time getting through a rough patch, you just went through a breakup, drugs and alcohol can only get you so far.
True.
But a friend might be the one that talks you off the ledge.
Man, that's so good. That's so good. And I think well-timed words, just with some of the other podcasts we've been filming, because we're really in the vein right now of telling some survivor stories, and that's pretty cool. People who have been through addiction, people who have been through cancer. Like we just seem to be tuning in to these folks who have been surviving something. And I never really thought about it, but if you struggle with yourself and who you are and the value you bring to business or a business setting, or even your job, like, that can become a great big deal, right? Mm-hmm. That personal battle. I know my wife, I love her so much. She works at Clear Spring Schools up in Eureka, and she has on the back of her visor, on a postcard, she had to write, "They hired you." And every time she feels insecure about work, she just pulls down that sun flap and sees the words, and it just kind of refills her heart. Do you have anything when you feel shaken, or when you feel stirred, or something gets under your skin? I imagine it doesn't happen often, but do you have something that just fires you up and gets you pointed back in the right direction? Yeah.
Don't expect anything in return, I guess. I think that's what happens a lot, is we expect to help someone in to cash in that favor later on. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you should cash in favors. Mm-hmm. I think a favor it's not a favor if you're trying to cash it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I think about, is because, there might be a time where, your friend will have to help you with a bill. So they'll be, they're paying for something, and that's another person you want to keep close, and whose opinion would matter. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay. Well, Cesar, we're out of time here for this week. I know I've said that a few times, but I've really enjoyed talking to you, man. We got to close it up. If there are people out there that want to find out more about the Garcia Agency or Cesar Garcia, I'm sure there's websites, socials. Go ahead and tell us how to get connected with you.
So my OnlyFans is, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm just on Facebook.
I'm so glad you're kidding, my friend. Go ahead.
No. I just have Facebook. I really don't have any other social media.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't keep up with that.
Okay. So just look up Cesar Garcia on Facebook.
Yeah, and I've been told I look exactly like my picture, which I don't know if it's an insult or a compliment.
Yeah.
But if it looks like a Mexican Asian, that's me.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, okay. That's interesting. I don't know how sensitive or insensitive that is, but I guess since you're saying it yourself, it's probably okay, right? Okay.
Is it accurate?
Yeah, who knows? All right. So for Cesar Garcia with the Garcia Agency and American National Insurance, guys, my name is Adam Robison. This has been another riveting edition of Northwest Arkansas Business Radio. We will see you next time.